In a situation where we are attacked by the Islamic State, it's quite correct that we respond. We have done so in the past, and we have done so again today, because Raqqa is the headquarters of the Islamic State.
The most concrete and the most obvious example of this newfound cooperation on the back of those attacks in Paris was the meeting between the Russian and American presidents. They haven't met since the General Assembly, and yet they sat down yesterday on the sidelines of the G20 and discussed Syria for almost 35 minutes. The U.S. saying that Russia and their conversation was a constructive one. A huge difference, of course, from how you might characterize the Russian-American relationship over the last couple of months.
The conversation I will have with Vladimir Putin is to say, look, there is one thing we agree about, which is that we'd be safer in Russia, we'd be safer in Britain if we degrade and destroy ISIL, and that is what we should be focusing on.
It is much easier here than it is in France to procure weapons, and especially assault weapons. So we've seen that connection in the January attacks in Paris or before that. And there was, of course, a terrible attack on the Jewish Museum here last year. But now what we're seeing is that it is not only a connection. It seems to operate as a rear base. The planning may have been done here. The targets may have been chosen here. And, of course, a lot of people have gone through the border.
We had the bombings in Ankara, we had the bombing over Sinai, we had the bombing in Beirut, and now Paris, and they've either all been attributed to Islamic State or claimed by Islamic State. So obviously the group's capabilities have grown, or it's demonstrating that they've grown. At the same time, it suffered serious setbacks in Syria and the Middle East with the loss of Sinjar this week, where they found mass graves of Yazidis. So the group has gone from establishing its own caliphate, as it were, in Syria and Iraq, to being a little bit on the back foot.